What about wall space? I know in some services that you won't have enough wall space, but let's have a look. Here's a service that has younger educators who are confident with computers, so they type things. They ran out of wall space. They had this big learning journal or a big learning story that went on and on and on, so they needed to put it along the line. But remember, computers do not enhance your teaching. Let's have a look at Lane Cove Occasional Care. This centre, you walk up to this wall and it's so amazing. It's just so wonderfully rich in learning. Again, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they look at Monday to build Tuesday and Tuesday to build Wednesday, and they continue on building day by day as they're assessing, evaluating. Here's another service, again, for you clean freaks out there. But remember, the computers don't enhance your teaching. It's all about capturing on the day and daily reflecting and looking at how your curriculum is building and growing with what's happening now, not next week. For example, Lane Cove Occasional Care, wonderful natural products that they placed out for the children as a provision or a resource. And what they were doing then was they were blindfolding the children, and the children had to touch the objects and describe it. So the educators would capture their descriptions of this object. So this is in the reflection planning sheet. But the follow-up occurred right now on the spot, which was the children were then drawing the object. And from there, we're looking for the learning outcomes that's coming about, because remember, a single experience may give you many, many different learning outcomes. And when we're capturing children's quotes and ideas, we even see more on how to build and extend. Here's another service. They're in an old school building, so they had no wall space as such. So they used curtain rods to hang. So let's go back and have a look at our 5 steps to the early years. The next service I'll show you is in Dubbo, in the middle of New South Wales. Again, their context is different because they're in the country, not next to the ocean like Grace. So from here, how it all began. They had a medical experience that then turned into healthy eating and our body experience. And as you can see, it's growing and growing and growing over the wall, which you'll see more. That then, of course, turned into bones and healthy bones. So out came Jack the skeleton. And they keep on exploring with the children in their learning stories. They're capturing these wonderful quotes. But now, here's the family input entering. So the family input's not the first thing, it's about the third thing. So country context. The children have brought sheep skulls in. And to explore the bones further, how do you know it's a sheep skull? Because I brought it in, said one child. And here is their week. It's just growing and growing and growing over the week. And again, if you keep on looking at how it's growing, the parents love it because they can actually see things happening over the week, over the day, day by day, as it's all growing. Absolutely wonderful. So again, looking a little bit of mind mapping, exploring of what the children know, can do and understand. And again, growing with the children's ideas. And it's not so reliant upon us. Our job is to come in, the art forms to come in as the intentional teacher and know when to extend upon it. Again, with their skeletons, they're touching the bones, they're exploring the bones, they're now drawing the bones and discovering more. More displays, just close up. But like I was saying, their context is different from Grace. Grace was on the coast, this is in the country. And so they've brought their sheep bones in, which is completely fine. So you're assessing for the learning, not the weather, which means, not saying things, we had a great day. But it's not just about the presentation and the family input. It's also about reflecting against the early years as practices and principles. I think some confusing things have happened over the time with people saying, oh, we can do it anyway. But doing it anyway, we still need to critically reflect against the early years. That's what a framework's all about. Using the words and positioning yourself and going, well, how am I compared to this document? So each week, educators use sections from the early years practices and principles and said, well, where are we compared to a practice or a principle? So again, please reflect against the practices and the principles, not the old development stuff. One thing we never want to see again is easel painting was popular. Next week I'll add glitter. That's not an evaluation with early years. So let's talk a little bit about development. Most children develop with no problems. It's a pretty hard figure to find out. In the early years, development is a very, very minimal component to it. The other thing is, it's not our job to diagnose. Our job is to support and assist parents to seek extra guidance if they need it from professionals. We can't diagnose. But let's have a detailed look into this development. The thing is, like I was saying, most children develop with no problems. And it is a hard figure to find out, but the figures range from 4 to 12% of children have a confirmed disability or need additional support. There are other areas that need further assistance. So for example, if parents aren't speaking English at home, that is a key factor in learning. Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander is another key indicator that we need to be aware of. So therefore, 88 to 96% of a developmental checklist is just a total waste of time. But when I say this, we know with experience when we see a child where we think, that's not quite right, as they're 4 years of age and they've come into the centre still on their mother's hip for the first time. So like I said, our job is to give parents all the support, all the care, all the guidance so they can seek that further assistance. So when we do get the report from the professionals, we work with the parents and the service and the children to support that child. Just one last thing about development. We learn about development so we can see when we need to give assistance. Also, we learn about development so we don't do stupid things, such as place a really young child of age of 1 who's just starting to get spatial awareness on a big platform over 1 metre high and then encouraging them to jump because we should be taking more risk. That's just the stupid side of what's happening out there in the services with the early years. So yep, we still need to know some forms of development, but don't get so caught up on it. And also, the more you look into the learning outcomes, you'll actually see the development parts of it already embedded into the learning outcomes.